Hello, welcome to our channel, and in this lecture we are going to discuss about kingdom fungi. Okay, in the last lecture we have discussed about protista. Now we are moving to the kingdom fungi, and first before we discuss about the classification of fungi, we will discuss about some little bit important introduction about the kingdom fungi. Okay, so before we begin our lesson, we can subscribe to our channel and also share and comment. Okay, now let's start about our discussion, the fungi. So the fungi is a unique kingdom of heterotrophic organisms with great diversity, morphology and habitat. First of all, we have to discuss about what is meant by morphology. Morphology means external study. Okay, some bacteria are rod shaped, some are spherical, some are irregular, and so on. So such kind of shapes is known as morphology. So external study. Okay, morphology means external study. And habitat means how they live in different conditions and how the mode of their nutrition and so on. Case of fungi, the habitat is different types. Some are saprophytic, some are parasitic, and so on. So that comes under the habitat. Okay. So some fungi causes decomposition of the food material. So what is meant by decomposition? So first of all, for example, let us consider this is a food material. Okay. So what the bacteria will do? Bacteria will break down this food material into tiny particles. Okay. Such kind of procedure is known as decomposition. Means native structure of the material will be broken down into individual units. This is known as decomposition. Okay, this fungi is going to fungi, and not only fungi, bacteria also. They are going to decompose the food material. So for mainly the rhizophus. Rhizophus is the bread mold. Okay, you bring bread packet from the shops and keep it in a darker place in for 1 or 2 days. So what will happen? So the bread piece will be covered with a rhizophus. It is a fungus. Okay, so while some are used in making bread and beer, so not only fungi are harmful, but also some fungi are very much useful for the human welfare. For example, in the production of the bread, so the fermentation of the bread dough is very important for the production of the bread. Not only the beer production, okay, alcohol production, it is also most important. So if we come to these production of the bread and also the beer, so the some fungi is important, that is known as yeast. Yeast is a unique organism that comes under the fungi. It has only the one cell, that is nothing but unicellular. Okay, so yeast looks in this way. Okay, and also yeast reproduced by a process known as budding. So let us consider this is a yeast, and small outgrowth will be seen. So this is known as a bud. Okay, this is known as bud. This is the parental yeast. This is the bud. So after some growth, the bud is going to fall off and is going to live individually. Okay, so this is the about budding in yeast. And some fungi cause diseases in plant. Okay, the Pusinia and also animals. So it means not only helpful for the human beings, but also some species of the fungi is harmful to the human beings and animals, while some are useful to the human beings and plants. How they are important? By production of the antibiotics. For example, if you see Alexander Fleming, first he discovered about the antibiotics, that is known as penicillin, produced from the fungi known as Penicillium notatum. Okay, from the Penicillium notatum, so that organism, that fungi produced a antibiotic known as penicillin. Okay, so it is useful in killing of some other other bacterium. Okay, so it is antibacterial substances. What is antibacterial substances? It against, anti means against bacteria. Okay, that is known as antibacterial substances. So these antibiotics will be used to cure the diseases, not only in human beings but also in animals. So the fungi are cosmopolitan. What is meant by cosmopolitan? Cosmopolitan means the ability to live anywhere, okay, or everywhere. So you can use other term that is known as ubiquitous. Ubiquitous means presence of everywhere. So these fungi are present everywhere, and mainly they have some conditions, that is nothing but warm and humid conditions. So if the place, any region which is having a warmer climate along with humidity, they are going to grow rapidly in that region. Okay, what is meant by warm? It means more higher temperature, like around 37 to 40 degrees Celsius or 45 degrees Celsius. Humid means the water content in the air, that is known as humid. It means they require a little bit higher temperature along with the water content in the air. So that is a perfect environment for the fungi to grow. Okay. So the food materials are stored in the refrigerator. So why you will store the food materials in the refrigerator? That is nothing but to store the food material without decomposition for a little bit longer time, okay, whether it may be 1 or 2 days. So this is the main reason for the refrigeration of the food material. So what happens if you refrigerate? So if the food material is placed in the refrigerator contains lower temperature like around 4 degrees Celsius or 5 degrees Celsius. So in that lower conditions, the fungi cannot reproduce. They cannot multiply their population. So as a result, if the population is very less or very negligible, so there is no chance of contamination of the food material. So the food material will be safe for a little bit longer time, so that you can consume the food material later, and so on. So this is the main reason. So if you store the food material in the lower conditions, they cannot multiply and they cannot damage the food material, or they cannot decompose the food material. Okay, not only bacteria but also the fungi. So next is the hyphae. So what is meant by hyphae? Hyphae means long, slender and filamentous thread-like structure. The fungi is known as hyphae. So this is the hyphae. Okay, this hyphae, what will happen? It will start growth of the fungi. So this is the hyphae. This is the joining is known as mycelium and so on. So this is known as hyphae. So if you see under the microscope, so generally the rough structure will be in this way. So these are the hyphae. Okay, these are the joining place. All the hyphae will join at one place, that is known as mycelium. Okay, so mycelium, you can call it as a network of the hyphae joined at some regions, that is known as mycelium. So next is cenocytic hyphae. So what is meant by cenocytic? Cenocytic means that is a continuous tube with multinucleated cytoplasm. So let us take the small portion of the hyphae and zoom and see. So this is the hyphae, and the hyphae doesn't have any septa. It means there is no divisions. So how the septate hyphae look like? So this is the hyphae, and it has some kind of divisions or a septa, that is known as septate. This is septate and this is aseptate or cenocytic. So the nucleus will be flown everywhere. The nucleus will be everywhere along with the protoplasm. But in a septate hyphae, so you will see the nucleus in the each and every compartment. So there is a compartmentalization here, and there is no compartmentalization over there. So this is the main difference between the cenocytic hyphae and septate hyphae. Okay, so here the cenocytic hyphae is there, and the continuous tube which is filled with multinucleated cytoplasm. Multi means many. So here there are many nucleus. So the many nucleus, if it is present, that is known as multinucleated cytoplasm. Okay. So some hyphae have the septa or cross walls. So just now we have discussed this is septa, or you can call it as a cross walls. Okay. So composition of the chitin, and also the cell walls of the fungi are composed of the chitin and polysaccharide. So poly means many, saccharide means sugar. So the cell wall is made up of many sugar units, that is known as polysaccharide. So not only that, chitin is also present. So most of the fungi are heterotrophic saprophytes. What do you mean by heterotrophic? If the organism is unable to produce its own food material, that is known as heterotrophic. So hence, if it is not available, it is not unable, or if it is unable to produce its own food material, it is going to depend on other organisms. So that is known as heterotrophic nutrition, or you can call them as heterotrophs. So here the fungi are not only heterotrophs but also they are saprophytic. Saprophytic. What is meant by saprophyte or saprophytes? It means that the organisms, they are going to digest the organic material of the dead substances or any other substances. So that is known as saprophyte. That is known as saprophyte. That is such condition is known as saprophytism. Or you can call, for example, let's take the example. This is the dead wood. Okay. So on the dead wood, this fungi will grow. What the fungi will do? The fungi will damage or decompose a particular part of the wood, and they are going to take the organic matter from it. Organic matter means, so any molecules which contain the carbon, that they are known as organic molecules, they are going to organic matter and they are going to grow. So this is processes, such kind of organisms are known as saprophytes. Okay, they live as a parasites depending upon the living plants and animals. So what is my parasite or parasitism? For example, let us consider this is the cell, or this is the one organism. So this is the parasite. This parasite is going to live on the other organisms, that is known as parasite, or this organism may live inside the cell of the host. So this is the host and this is the parasite. So if it is having shelter from the host and it is obtaining nutrition from the host, that is known as parasitism, or you can call it as a parasite. Okay, and not only they are parasites, some are symbionts. So what do you mean symbiont or symbiotic relationship? So this is one organism and this is another organism. So what they will do, they are going to live each other. Okay, it means they are going to benefit each other. So such kind of a mutual relationship between this organism and this organism is known as symbiosis. Okay, you can see the lichens. What is meant by lichen? So the closer association between the fungi and algae. So if the fungi and algae living together and they are getting benefited together, that is known as symbiosis, or you can call as symbionts. Okay, and in case of parasites, out of two individuals, only one individual is getting benefit, another is getting loss. Okay, that is known as parasitic. But in case of symbiosis, both of them are getting mutually benefited. Okay, and mycorrhizae, it means association of the fungi with the roots of the plant. So let us consider this is the plant and the plant has a roots. Okay, beneath the ground there are roots and there is association. It means the fungi is going to associate with the roots of the plant, that is known as mycorrhizae or mycorrhiza. Okay, reproduction fungi may takes place by the vegetative, asexual or sexual process. Okay, sexual process means there is a union of the gametes, so there is a exchanging of the genetic material between the two organisms. So if there is such kind of exchange of the genetic material is present, that is known as sexual process. Okay, mainly exchanging of the genetic material. Okay, so vegetative reproduction. So first we will discuss about the vegetative reproduction. So reproduction through the fragmentation, vegetative reproduction through the fragmentation and fission and also budding. So fragmentation means, let us consider this is the organism. Okay, so small tip will be broken down. So if that small tip is broken down and its tip is capable of growing into new organism, that is known as fragmentation. Okay, the small tip is able to grow into new individual. So that is known as a fragmentation. Okay, next is the fission. So what is meant by fission? It's a division. Okay, so this organism may divide into 2, 3 or 4 and so on. So the fission means division. Next, budding means is the organism has small outgrowths on their body surface and after some time they are going to get separated. Okay, this is separate and this organism is separate, both are separate, they will get separated. So such kind of process is known as budding. Example, yeast. You can take the example of yeast in case of budding. Okay, this is about vegetative reproduction. And coming to the asexual reproduction, this is by the reproduction by the spores called conidia or sporangiospores or zoospores. So what is meant by conidia? So in fungus you can see there is a small outgrowth, small growth will be seen, that is after the hyphae. So this is the hyphae, and above the hyphae you will see some kind of growth is known as conidia, and from the conidia you will see small spores will come out. So such kind of spores are known as conidiospores. Conidiospores are coming from the conidia. So this is conidia and these are conidiospores. Okay, conidiospores. So next is sporangiospores. Sporangiospores mean, and let us say this is the hypha, and above the hypha you will see a small blob-like structure. Okay, small blob-like structure, and this blob-like structure is known as a sporangium. Okay, sporangium, and from the sporangium you will see small dust-like particles will come out. This is known as sporangiospores. Means the spores that are coming from the sporangium is known as sporangiospores. Okay, and next is the zoospores. It means they are motile. If the spores that are coming from such kind of structures and if they are able to move in the water or some kind of substance, that is known as zoospores. So the zoo means which is capable, which is capable, and spores means they are the tiny structures. They are capable of moving in the some kind of substance or some kind of water. So that is known as zoospores. So next is sexual reproduction. The sexual reproduction in fungi mainly includes oospores. So oospores mean these are produced by the fusion of the two morphologically different gametangia. Okay, morphology means if you see externally, so one is different and some other is different. Okay, so these two gametangia are different in size and shape. That is known as two morphologic different gametangia. And next is the ascospore. ascospores that is coming from the asci. Okay, so and next is the basidiospore that is coming from the basidiocarp. Okay, so next, fruiting bodies. These are the distinct structures of the various spores produced. Okay, and the sexual cycles are of the fungi includes that is mainly three steps. One is the plasmogamy. So plasmogamy means a union or the fusion of the plasma. Okay, so this is one mycelium. Let us consider this is one mycelium and this is another mycelium. So what will happen? The protoplasm is going to fuse to each other. So there is a fusion and there is exchanging of the protoplasm. If there is exchanging of the protoplasm between the two organisms of the fungi, that is known as a plasmogamy. Okay, so plasmogamy means a fusion or union. So next is the motile or non-motile gametes. So that is also another type of the sexual reproduction or sexual cycles. So next is karyogamy. Karyo means nucleus. Okay, so the fusion of the two nuclei. So let us consider this is the one fungi, this is another fungi, and along with the protoplasm there is a nucleus. So the nucleus is also going to fuse. Okay, if the fusion of the nucleus is seen, and such fusion is known as karyogamy. Karyo means nucleus, gamy means a fusion. Okay, next is a haploid spore, the result of the meiosis in the zygote. So what will happen? So the genetic material will come into one cell, and what will happen? They will fuse. After the fusing, what will happen? N plus N will turn into 2N. So next they will divide, and again they will divide again. So that is known as meiosis. So it is the 2N will turn into N, 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 and N. Total how many? 4. 4 organisms are present. 4 sets will come. Okay, that is known as haploid spore. That is the real result of the meiosis in the zygote. Zygote is going to divide meiotically. Okay. During the sexual reproduction fungi, the two haploid hyphae of the compatible mating types become together and fuse. So in some fungi, the fusion of the two haploid cells immediately result in the 2N. Just now we have discussed the 2N production. So in some fungi, the intervening dikaryotic stage, that is N plus N, that is 2 nuclei per cell will occur. It means they are not going to fuse. So here there is a fusion of the nucleus, but in some organisms there is a new fusion of the nucleus. This nucleus will separate. This will remain as separate. So there is no fusion of the nuclei. That is known as dikaryon. Di means 2, karyon means nucleus. So these two nuclei are separate, and these two nucleus will not fuse, and nucleus also 2. Then in that case you can call it as a dikaryon. Di means 2, karyon means nucleus, and the phase is called dikaryophase of the fungus. This phase is also known as dikaryophase. So the cells become diploid after the fusion of the parental cell. Okay, they are going to become diploid. What is meant by diploid? So this is known as haploid. N means haploid. Okay, so diploid means N. Okay, this N and N will fuse together, leading to the fusion of the leading to the formation of the 2N, that is known as diploid. So the fruiting bodies of the fungi occur by the reduction division, which led to formation of the haploid spores. Reductional division means meiosis. Okay, meiosis is also known as reductional division. So as a result of this meiotic process in the zygote leading to the production of the haploid spores, you will see the 2N will turn into N, N, and also N and N. So actually here also the 2N. Okay, so this is the process. So the kingdom fungi is divided into various classes based on the morphology of the mycelium, the mode of the spore formation of fruiting bodies. This fungi has been classified into different classes. Okay, and I hope this lecture is helpful to you, and also support us by subscribing and like, share, and comment. Okay, and provide your valuable suggestions in the comment box, and we are going to discuss about classes of the kingdom fungi in the next lecture. Okay.